No player has won the hearts of Parisians like Gustavo Kuerten. The City of Love adored the charismatic Brazilian from the time he upset former champion Thomas Muster in round 3 of the 1997 tournament. Ranked 66, he would go on to defeat defending champion Yevgeny Kafelnikov in 5 sets before reaching the final. The boy from Florianopolis took it all in his stride. He managed to stay relaxed despite the mounting pressure, and won in straight sets. 3 years later, Guga claimed his second Roland Garros title, defeating Magnus Norman in 4 sets. It took him 11 match points to finally overcome the tenacious Swede. 12 months later, Kuerten entered Roland Garros as world number 1. In the round of 16, he faced American qualifier Michael Russell in very windy conditions. Russell had match point, and the rally on that point lasted 26 shots. Guga survived, just, and 3 sets later, it was the Brazilian with match point. It was a match he should have lost, but his connection with the Paris crowd pulled him through and inspired his following gesture. The tennis Picasso created the greatest artwork ever seen on a tennis court. A week later, Guga was in the final, defeating the 13th seed Alex Kuerten in 4 sets. There was one thing left to do on court. Guga will forever be remembered as one of the greats of Roland Garros, who won 3 titles and the hearts of all fans around the world.
It's amazing to look back at those memories from Guga. Paul, I was just thinking, if someone was watching right now who maybe has just become a tennis fan and didn't live through the whole Guga era with those 3 Roland Garros titles, how would you explain to that person who he was, why he was great, and the joy he played with?
Well, I think that last part of the question sums it up. It's the joy, right? I mean, he was one of the most well-liked players on tour, so honorable, had a smile and charisma that could light up a city, and it lit up the Parisian city 3 times. He's just one of these guys that everyone loved, played with passion, played with positivity, really just one of the most optimistic kind of people that I've been around. And he's one of the guys that just is like a magnet. You just go to him because of his personality. And in '97, it was great when he won that event. Look, he won 20 titles on tour, and we mentioned the 3 Roland Garros, but 6 of those 20 titles were on hard courts. And I actually think 2000 was his best year. That's the year he finished number 1 in the world. He won the year-end championships on indoor hard courts, and I was there when he beat Pete in the semis in 3 sets, and then he beat Andre in the finals. I wouldn't have called that one. And he could play on hard courts unbelievably well. Just happened to have 3 tremendous years in Paris. I'm surprised he didn't do better perhaps at the U.S. Open. Back then it was a little quicker for him, but maybe in Australia I thought he maybe would have had a chance as well. But look, he just had so much charisma, and he's just one of these guys that everyone just wants to be around.
When you think about the definition of someone having an infectious smile, Guga was just the epitome of it. You literally could not see him or talk to him without having the biggest smile on your face. And on the court, off the court, it didn't matter. He was that same just gentle personality, a fantastic competitor, but you could never really be mad at him. And as Paul said, so popular in the locker room, left it all out on the court. It was so unfortunate that he was beset with injuries towards the end of his career that kind of forced his retirement. in 2004, the hip injury. But he was a player who left it all out on the court. I mean, literally him laying in the middle of that heart, that was how he played the game. And he's been sorely missed. We've seen him around the game at tournaments, and it's always wonderful to see him. But certainly, if he could have played a few more years, it would have been interesting, especially having to go up against Rafa potentially. It's amazing when you think of what he was able to accomplish.
Paul, 23 years have passed, if you can believe that, since Guga's first Roland Garros title. So understandable if some fans have forgot what he went through to get there. 66 in the world. And how about this murderer's row? Muster, Kafelnikov, and then Bruguera in the final. How unlikely a story was that whole thing?
Oh, look, you summed it all up, right? For a young guy to be able to get one big win, that's great. But to match up three like that in that kind of a venue, I mean, that kind of epitomized who Gustavo Kuerten was, right? He kept everything in the moment, just went out and played. And for his first title there, to be able to rebound 2 different times after huge wins late in the tournament against great players, I knew, you knew from then on in he was going to be someone to be reckoned with just because of his resilience and the ability to stay in the moment.
And if you're wondering what he means in Brazil when they held the Olympics in Rio 4 years ago, he's the guy that received the honor of carrying the Olympic flame into the Olympic Stadium for the opening ceremony.